All right, everyone, I have warned for some months now that Donald Trump really needs to get back on Twitter. He can post to Truth Social if he wants to, but the problem is, I've got a Truth Social account, and the only thing that I really do there is I monitor Trump. So I see that something has been posted, and then maybe it's fodder for a news story. This is one of those occasions, but it would be more convenient if I had been notified on Twitter. Just saying, Big Don, swallow the pride just for once in your life and get back on Twitter/X. Be a huge star-studded affair. It'll be literally like walking down the fucking escalator of Trump Tower in 2016 because the whole internet would implode with memes and shit like that. In fact, you should just post a picture of you there waving from the escalator, and then people will say, oh shit, he's back. It's shit posting time. Anyway, link in the description. I like this one. This is the Trump that we need. This is peak 2016 energy right here. I'm just going to read his Truth Social post here verbatim. This is his response to the idea that he should bother to go to the Republicans' first debate because, I mean, he's the only one that's preeminently qualified to go there, but he's treating it very flippantly. What does Donald think about the first Republican debate that I think is upcoming in a couple weeks or some shit like that? I wish I was on the right time zone. I would live react to it because I'm sure there's going to be some off-the-wall shit. Maybe I'll go out in the cuck shed and I'll rig something up. For that, maybe I'll make I'll make an excuse to do so. Donald J. Trump. Let them debate so that I can see who I might consider for vice president. Yeah, so Donald Trump is probably not attending the debate. Last minute he might. They're going to make them sign a derpy loyalty pledge so that, if you lose, you have to support whoever won. And some candidates have held out. There are a few people who aren't actually going to the debate because of this who would otherwise qualify. I can't remember which ones. Everyone other than Trump at this point is an also-ran, including DeSantis. He's down at his long-term low. He's been in a negative direction for months. The writing is on the wall. Retooling his campaign didn't work. The Iowa thing didn't work. In fact, it hurt him. I just don't see him going anywhere. So Trump realizes that he doesn't really have any competitors unless someone has a real breakout moment or unless he has a real shit moment, he's going to be the nominee. So being flippant about it, saying, look, who cares? This is a job. Basically, this is an interview for you being my running mate, at least potentially. And I think that that's great. Again, very peak Trump. While it would be fun to see him on a debate stage, especially when Christie is going to be there, because Christie is being like a bulldog right now, and while it would be funny to see them spar, it probably is politically wiser. I've bandied back and forth between whether it's wise for him to bother in the primary debates. It's probably wiser to have your own competing event and siphon a massive amount of attention to yourself. Have an enormous rally in a real Trump-friendly area. Go to Des Moines or something like that. Go to Manchester, New Hampshire. And then knock it out of the park with a rally there and have, you've got like 10,000 people at the rally. There's 100,000 people watching the stream. And meanwhile, the Republican debate without Donald there will be like, oh, maybe I'll tune in and I'll see what mistakes the candidates make, especially Mike Pence. If there's one reason that I would bother watching the Republicans also ran debate, as Donald would put, I suppose, the job application for vice presidency. If there was going to be one reason, it would be to see if Mike Pence fucks up as badly as he did in Iowa. I mean, he was running in third place. He was almost at the level of viability, and he was rising. All of a sudden, down he goes, and Vivek Ramaswamy, as predicted, overlaps him. Although I would point out, Ramaswamy has gotten a boost, but it's an underwhelming Kamala-esque boost. This is, in fact, Ramaswamy is effectively the Kamala Harris of the election cycle. Hint, hint, that might play a role in who the running mate is, by the way. He rises up because of a really great performance at a town hall with Tucker Carlson, but then he goes back down. But he shows that he has something that most of the other candidates in the field don't have, which is rhetorical skill and likability, the ability to connect with people. After his TPP comments, I have soured on the idea of Vivek Ramaswamy for president or anything like that, and I'm no longer necessarily fully enthused by that. He's made some other wonky comments as well. He's still better than most of the others in the field. I would prefer Rand Paul myself. But don't be terribly surprised if Ramaswamy ends up in a cabinet position at least. In fact, Donald Trump could elaborate further. Well, basically, I'm looking at the field. I got some people there, like Tim Scott is definitely on that list. I got some people there that I generally like. I can get along with them. I could tolerate their smell. And so, one of you might end up running mate, another maybe Secretary of State. Secretary of State Chris Christie has a ring to it, says Donald in one of his less coherent moments. And maybe, other cabinet positions or something. Secretary of Transport. Buttigieg basically, by coming in where he did in the 2020 election, basically he got transport secretary, and it wasn't because he knows how to run a train in the literal sense, more the figurative sense. Trump's insinuation here is hilarious, though. It's just that it would be 20 times more hilarious if he said it on Twitter. That's really the problem at this point. Trump lacks the exposure, the ability to push things into the news cycle instantaneously and not have them hyper-analyzed and spun around by legacy media and by unfriendly content creators, like Hassan or something, is limited by using Truth Social, because there is a stopgap between Truth Social and when it hits the wider, more open internet. Truth Social is more of a pro-Trump echo chamber. Quite literally, I'm welcome there, but many other people who may be more critical of Trump, people who are conservative, people who are rock-ribbed Republicans, they're not going to necessarily really interact with the content there, and if they do, they might actually get banned. Truth Social is a censored site. It's just censored more from a right-wing perspective. So I'm in on the party because I'm tolerated by conservatives despite not being one, as long as I don't rant too much about my views on gay rights or abortion, I suppose, or maybe the drug war. But other than that, it's golden. You got no problems. But there's a stopgap. The problem is it takes that 10, 15 minutes, in which case a legacy media hit piece can already be half written, for it to even get to the wider internet. So I like peak Trump, but I want peak Trump to be public. I want the public to see it instantly, see exactly what he said before the spin cycle kicks in. This was a huge advantage in 2016. He's pissed away that advantage so far. My hope is that he returns to Twitter on the day he secures the nomination or something like that. Or right before the Iowa caucus, hey, guess who's back? Big Don. That would be funny. But this is the angle from which Trump needs to operate. Be dismissive of the other candidates because they literally don't matter at this point. That's about all. Peace out.